Hi, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and here I have the new Nokia Booklet 3G, which we'll just do a quick unbox for you so we can actually have a look around the device and what we get. So obviously it's a pretty large box and very blue, kind of unusual for Nokia, and strange to actually see a Nokia box that's so large in actual fact, and it's kind of strange the way they've actually chosen to package it with this weird chunky bit at the front, but that's enough for the box. We have the booklet itself on top. That's placed in here so that we can actually easily remove it, and we'll look at that in a bit more detail in just a few moments. I just want to look at what else we actually see inside the box. So first of all, we have a set of accessories. So we have a USB to micro USB connection cable, which doesn't look totally standard, so we'll just pull that out. So it appears to have, I'll do that now. Actually appears to be, so we have a standard USB connector on one end, then there's a splitter which has a little tiny Nokia charger, the small bullet style connector, and a micro USB connector. Now possibly, presumably this is perhaps designed so that you can charge up external Nokia devices or for connection. So we'll find out a bit more about that when we actually come to do the review. Then there is a headset, which we'll just look at, and it looks like a fairly standard Nokia headset item. So we have on one end a 4-pole 3.5mm jack, then a length of cable, then an inline push button and microphone arrangement with a clip to clip it onto clothing, then a bit more cable, and the headphones themselves, which are in-ear style. Seen these on some other Nokia handsets before, and they are pretty good. So it's kind of interesting this has been supplied with a laptop, because my understanding is that it actually cannot be used for voice calls despite having a SIM card. That SIM card is only used for data, so we'll look at that again at some point in the future. When we come to do the review, there's a couple of different covers for the headphones, and that seems to be about all there is. Oh, there's a cleaning cloth also in the pack there, but that's all there seems to be in this part of the package. Now this is obviously a PR model, and the assumption I would make here is that in the full retail version that there would be manuals inside that small box as well. There is a mains cable, standard sort of UK 3-pin plug, to connector there on the other end, and the actual charger itself is at the other end. So obviously you plug that in, and then that plugs into the netbook or the notebook. So let's just push this all to one side and have a look at the netbook in more detail. It's immediately apparent that this is a really, really nicely designed and made laptop or booklet or whatever you want to sort of really call it, but we'll call it a notebook for now. All of the chassis is or seems to be made of aluminium. According to the spec, is aircraft grade aluminium, and it's really well made. All the seams and edges seem to be very good. A little bit of damage here actually, because obviously this is as I've mentioned already, it is a PR model, so it has been out to other reviewers. So a quick look around the unit itself. Inside we have a 10.1 inch display, which is 1280 by 720 pixels. I think that's quite good to have that resolution. A lot of the netbooks have a bit of a lower resolution, so 1280 pixels is certainly wide enough for your web browsing, and 720 pixels high is also pretty good. And I would imagine that would be pretty good for watching movies also. It is a widescreen display. Do have a forward-facing 1.3 megapixel camera we can use for video conferencing or Messenger and that sort of stuff. There is a large QWERTY keyboard. It's I would say it's more or less full-size QWERTY. Individual keys, as you can see there. A lot of keyboards seem to be going this way. I think we first saw this type of keyboard with the individual keys square like they are on the Apple products. Lots of them seem to be going this way, and I actually do like this sort of style of keyboard. Media controls along the top with the function keys as well. Trackpad, well, it's quite a reasonably sized trackpad as well, and obviously the mouse keys on either side. Around the laptop itself we have an external HDMI connector, so we can output to a TV or other projector or whatever we want to. 2 USB connectors, headphone socket there as you can see. There is a loudspeaker grill just there. Really nothing to see on the front. Onto the other side we have another loudspeaker, the power button, and then we have a cover over a SD card socket and also a SIM card socket. So our SIM card goes in the space on the right hand side and an SD card will plug in on the left hand side. There's also another USB connector and where we plug in our mains charger. On the back itself, really nothing to see. On the bottom is where we find the battery, and the battery just releases with these couple of latches there, and obviously the battery just drops out. The whole thing is pretty light, and as I say, really well made. It's striking how well made it is. It's the kind of thing you would sort of perhaps expect to see from the likes of Apple, and very stylish. So I think that's pretty impressive looking. In terms of specification, this model is the Windows 7 version. This has Windows 7 Home Premium. It has a 1.6 GHz Atom processor and also has 1 gig of built-in RAM. It doesn't sound like an awful lot of RAM, so whether or not this can be upgraded, I haven't actually been able to sort of find out by actually just looking through the Nokia specification. But to be honest, I think 1 gig of RAM for Windows 7 might be a bit low. I would probably like to have at least 2 gig, if not 3 gig of RAM. There's a 120 gig hard drive, built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth, and a built-in 3G modem, but that's for data calls only, as I mentioned already. So a little bit strange perhaps that there is this headset that comes with it, but perhaps that's useful for using things like Skype and so on. 1.3 megapixel camera, we've already mentioned, as I say, is used for video conferencing and video calls, that sort of thing. HDMI connector is suitable for output to an HD video, or source either TV or a projector. SD card reader will support SD and SDHC memory cards up to 32 gig. There's a built-in motion sensor. Perhaps I don't suppose that's going to work for rotating the display as we would expect to see on some sort of mobile handsets, but so quite exactly what the motion sensor does or on the laptop, not really sure at this point in time. We'll obviously discover that when we come to do the full review. There's also built-in GPS chipset, and we also do have OV maps as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that actually performs, and whether or not this can really be used as a genuine sat-nav device in car. That would be quite cool and useful. In terms of dimensions, 264mm wide, 185mm from front to back, including this hinge mechanism at the back, and we're actually just fractionally under 20mm thick. Weighs 1,250 grams or 1.25 kilos. Does feel, well, it feels substantial, but it doesn't feel overly heavy. I don't think it'll be a problem to carry it. And say it really does look the part, and I think it's pretty impressive. We'll have a full review for you, and we'll actually look at the OS, how that's been implemented, if there are any changes, if it's anything unusual. Obviously we'll have screenshots and everything else, and we'll see how powerful it is. One other thing I must show you is the pouch that come sort of accompanying it. Whether or not it actually is part of the retail package, I'm unsure, but this pouch did actually come with our review model, and obviously that just slips inside the pouch easily like so, and then just zips up. Now the whole thing is padded as well, so it will offer a decent amount of protection. There's also a little pocket along the front that could be used. You could put papers in and so on. As long as it just keeps it nice and neat and tidy. So that is the Nokia Booklet 3G. We're going to do a full review for you, and that'll be on tracyandmatt.co.uk over the next couple of weeks. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. On Twitter we are Tracy and Matt, so we'll have updates when we actually publish reviews and everything else. And we'll tweet to have sort of what updates we've had. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon on tracyandmatt.co.uk.